Well, originally we formed ourselves into a women's canvas team that was helping at the by-election in which Tony Benn was standing as Member of Parliament. After the by-election, we decided that as women we would like to stick together and give or do whatever we could within the community. So we formed ourselves into a women's action group.
Basically the idea of that was to get women from all ordinary working class women who weren't necessarily in any political party, to come together to work on issues that we felt strongly about.
Not long after the Women's Action Group was formed, the miners' strike started, and we decided that as women that it was important that we showed that we supported our husbands, and we gave whatever assistance we could in the mining community, such as making sure that there were food parcels, giving advice on social security benefits.
We started off with 4 strike centres that we went round and got the wives interested and asked them if they'd be prepared to do what we were doing centrally, to be in the strike centres so that they could be in contact with other miners' wives, and that any food donations that came in could be distributed. We started with 4, we now have 15.
I don't think anybody realises just how bad the problems are. We've had children that are starving, and I mean starving. We've had a case of a 6-week-old baby that didn't have a bottle for 2 days. We had a family come in and they had 3 children, and the children had had a biscuit to eat all day. We've had problems of people who don't know where to turn next because they've got someone sick and they can't afford a prescription. They can't even afford the bus fares to come into the strike centres to see if they can get any help. There's been problems that they're just almost impossible to deal with. Problems with the DHSS. There have been such hold-ups with the payments that it's almost incredible. We've had people actually getting a gyro payment for 5 pence. We've had a family with 7 children that had a gyro for 91 pence. I could go on forever, there's just so many, and it makes me so angry because it is unnecessary. Miners are being starved back to work via their children. Bad enough that they stopped the miners' pay. They're taking £15 assumed strike pay, which isn't being paid, from the wife's benefit or from the children's benefit, which is leaving nothing. They are getting £34 a week less than the bare starvation level of supplementary benefit and are expected to survive on it. And they're not surviving. The need is desperate, absolutely desperate.
For my generation, I think we can say that we've never been without. We've never actually been in the position where we've no food in the cupboard, where perhaps as my parents in the 30s and what have you, they were in that position. They're in that position now and they've got nothing, and it's very difficult. But as we say to people when they come, they feel very humble that they've got to ask for this. And I've said to people, it's not charity. Charity is what rich people give to poor people as a token. This is what working class people are doing to help other working class people, because they realise that if the National Union of Mine Workers are crushed, then the rest of the trade union movement will capitulate, and this is the last stand. This is it.
Everyone now must realise that this fight is not only for the future of the coal industry, but for the whole of Britain's working class. The NUM has been the backbone of the trade union movement for many, many years. It mustn't be allowed to fall, and it mustn't be allowed to collapse in a way that the trade union movement itself will fall into disarray. Nobody wants that.
You have to work pits to live down here, to get a house down here. Well, pit closed and the village is gone. Well, all villages is going to be the same as the close pits. There's going to be no little villages and places where people get together and that.
Like scholars, weren't we, yesterday?
About 120 yesterday, and it was chips.
Yesterday?
No, we had it all dinner. We had cabbage and vegetables.
Cabbage, carrot,
Yorkshire puddings.
Well, it's difficult because we've only got one cooking range. So we've had to take, when we've been doing chips, done like for 3 rings, so we've had to take them across to someone else's house to cook over there, and they've had to be bringing them back.
These miners are appreciating what we're doing,
Yeah.
for them and for the children.
Yeah.
We haven't had a dissatisfied customer yet, and then nobody's dropped dead yet, so there's no food poisoning.
I think the women, the husbands is working in other pits, or to keep the husbands at home and back up the strikers. And something could be done if they do that. Something could be sorted out if every man is out of work, every miner.
Tell the Nottingham men that they must get rid of their I'm all right Jack attitude, that they should fight for everyone's future, not only their own. A redundancy payment is no good to anybody, not when they've got to sit back. What are they going to enjoy? Where are they going to spend this redundancy money? What they're going to get isn't even 3 years' work.
We decided to take soup out to the picket lines, and we felt not that we were doing the tea and sandwiches bit, but we were showing them that there were women and there were miners' wives, so we did support them. And the reaction we got right from the start, it knocked them over, I think, the men. They've been really shocked, I think, about the women's activity in this strike, and their attitude, well, I'm glad somebody agrees with us, you know, I'm glad there are some women. They don't show you on television.
I was getting sick and tired over the past 5 years of seeing the media, ITN and BBC, trot out housewives to say our men shouldn't go on strike. This time, I think we should salute those wives who've gone onto the picket lines and supported our people.
They portray women as being anti the strike. They portray women as standing at the pit head screaming at the men to go back to work. And the feeling that we've found in all our public meetings and in most of the people that have come along here is that they will eat grass first before they'll ask the husbands to go back to work.
I think at one time it was thought that a woman's place was in the home, and that was it as far as it went. But we've been accepted very well on the picket line at Bolsover. We've given the men support. We've been taking round soup, and we've been giving them advice on different things. But mainly we've been, you know, I've got a sore throat at the moment, shouting at the scabs, you know.
We're not just taking soup out to pickets. We're on the picket lines. We might be holding a cup of soup, but we're picketing. And we're treated with some disdain by the police because they don't like to admit we're there. So they try to ignore us and hope we'll go away, but we won't.
I am just an ordinary working class person, and I've never done anything like this in all my life. And where the men can't get through, the women can. And we had 15 women left our village on Monday morning and went and did a good morning's picketing and turned about 40 men back. And if this has got to be done, then we will do it. Because all our action groups will get women to go. We'll all set off at different times, 2 or 3 cars from every village, till we've got about 70 or 80 pickets on the line. If they're all women, well, we'll just go and we'll do the job that the men are not being allowed to do.
I think for anybody who hasn't been to a picket line and hasn't seen there's all this talk in the media about the massive presence, and it is massive. It's quite frightening, the implications of it. We went to Bolsover at the beginning of the strike, and it really shook me because there were, I'd say, 200 pickets there, but there were 22 bus full of police who were marching here and marching there, and all very militaristic.
Any of us can tell you they've had the roads blocked here, and even going into Mansfield, they've stopped you and asked you where you're going and have you any identification to go shopping. We've had that all because Nottingham border's not a lot far away, and we've had that a lot, haven't we? Yeah. In this, I mean, they stopped us last week, last week before, to ask us where we were going, and I was sat in car going shopping. I think we've had a lot of police harassment.
The police presence in Chesterfield, if it happened in Poland, if it happened anywhere except England, they would swear that it was a military coup. They would say that the country has been taken over. Well, our county's been taken over by a force, admitted a police force, but there's so many of them it makes you wonder if they can all be policemen or if they're cardboard cutouts. There's just so many.
It's to be remembered that the coal owners in the past and the coal board of the present didn't suddenly wake up one morning and decide to give the miners a fair deal. They've had to fight every step of the way. They've had to fight for everything. And we're fighting now. And the rest of the trade union movement is supporting us. And with that support, we can't lose.
And I've got one thing to say to Mrs. Thatcher, although I don't suppose she'll hear it. It's, aren't you ashamed? Ashamed that you lead a country that can starve children, that can see children dying through wanting medicine that they can't get. It's just one of a sample of things that's happening, where you put a police presence in to intimidate men, and not enough with that, you starve the children to try and get them back to work. Mrs. Thatcher, aren't you ashamed?
Women can organise. Here are some ideas.